welcome to Distant Conversations, first episode of 2021.
Coming straight from the new year, I'm Gabs.
And I'm Ben.
And today, we're talking New Year, same lockdown, same grind, same virus, right?
Yeah.
Or a new one now with the new strain.
Oh, yeah. That's a bit scary.
Yeah, basically, we're talking about coronavirus. So, hello.
Hello. And all of the, not just coronavirus, but all of the inconveniences the coronavirus has given all of us.
And all the joys, you know, there are some upsides, I think.
Yes. There are, definitely are upsides to it. But before we go with that, how is everybody? We've got Simon here with us today as well.
Hello, Simon.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Happy New Year.
Simon's all decked out in his new gear.
I do. That was my New Year gift, Christmas gift as well. It was a new setup. So I'll be coming to you in HD, live and direct. Okay,
so what do you do? What have you been up to during this lockdown period and over the holidays?
Well, the New Year, what did we do? In London, they told us that there weren't going to be any fireworks at all because they wanted to stop people from coming to the city and celebrating. But the whole time, in their little back pocket, they had tucked away some fireworks in Greenwich. And
surprise!
What was it in Wizard of Oz? The wizard's curtain opens and there's fireworks at Greenwich. So at midnight, when they started the fireworks, everyone was so surprised that there was actually fireworks going on.
Oh my goodness.
That's what we did. We watched the fireworks. We had some Prosecco. And then there's always been a tradition that we've had, which is to have bacon sandwiches. So we had a bacon sandwich after midnight.
Is that a you family thing, or is it like a British thing?
I don't know where it comes from, but it's always been.
It's a Throssell thing.
Indeed. It's like New Year, let's cut up some pig.
Yeah, the first meal that you have every year is a bacon sandwich. I think
that's bacon sandwich, cool. Mayonnaise, a little bit of cheese on top of the bacon.
So I'm assuming beautiful. What about you guys? What do you do during the holidays?
Me, I did nothing. I got drunk.
That's something.
Yeah, I drank a lot of wine. I got caught up on my reading. Right now, I'm reading the Those Violent Delights, which is set in 1920 Shanghai. So that made me really excited for like traveling and stuff. Yeah, I mean, nothing's going on. What I can say is, we've got snow. We've got so snowed in Lithuania. And now everyone's just like drinking hot cocoa and watching TV because snow is just that kind of mood.
Over here in Singapore, we just got loads and loads of rain. It's been raining non-stop for the past like 2 weeks or something. And temperatures are so low. They're like 21, 22 degrees, which is very low by Singaporean standards. But during the holidays, it was cool because I think about a week before Christmas, the government announced that there's going to be an increase in the number of people that are allowed to gather from 5 and now it's 8. Which is great, which means some of us me and my family members could hang out together. And I managed to count down with a few friends, to see the fireworks. Usually what happens is that we will go down to Marina Bay, which is at the downtown area of Singapore, where, usually where all the skyline shots of Singapore are taken at. But this year, they removed that and instead brought the fireworks to the heartlands. So near where I live, about like 15 minutes on foot, we had fireworks right in front of our eyes, and it was gorgeous.
Oh, that's insane! That's so good.
Gorgeous. But but my parents had a bit of a heart attack because when they see fireworks, they go, "Oh my gosh, that's taxpayers' money." So.
Let me just get this straight. So Singapore not in lockdown, right?
Nope.
That's good because I don't remember life out of lockdown anymore, you know, because in Lithuania we're in lockdown, Simon's in lockdown, so it's good for you, huh?
Let's just all throw out stats, okay? So let's say like now Singapore not in lockdown, about 30 cases a day. What's happening in Lithuania?
So in Lithuania we are in lockdown, and we have about, like, I think today it was like about 1,800 cases.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a lot for Lithuania because we're quite small.
Okay. How about in England?
Yeah, what's happening in England, Simon?
What's happening in England?
What's happening in England?
It's all going very poorly. I think that the NHS...
Just say to shit, Simon. It's a grown-up podcast.
Is at its breaking point. We've had 60,000 cases yesterday, and then 1,100 deaths, the highest it's ever been. So we're totaling 2.5 million cases and almost 70,000 total deaths.
Oh my gosh, it's very bad.
So we're very much
difficult in England now.
The top of it.
So just out of curiosity, do each of you know of somebody who has contracted COVID-19 during this period?
I do.
Yes. Yeah, I think like right now in Lithuania, like a lot of our friends like either had it or have it, or their, families have it. Like it's it's a common thing now.
Okay, Simon.
One in 30 Londoners have it. So for every 30 Londoners,
That's
one
insane.
person has it.
Oh God, that's insane.
Can I just talk to you guys about something? Because New Year, I've been doing thinking on my behavior. And I think I realized that during all these lockdowns, I have this new side of myself developed that I call the lockdown demon, which is when I get really bored, I start stirring shit up just so I would have something to do.
Example.
Yeah, because yesterday my brother's like, hey, Gabs, can you pass me the remote? I'm like, no. Or like I'm talking with my friend and I'm like, hey, remember 3 years ago when like I texted you and you didn't reply to my text? Like, I'm pissed. Let's talk about this. Because this is my lockdown demon. This is like, I have nothing to do, so let's fight.
Can I just tell you that you're not alone? Because I think that during this lockdown or whatever the quarantine period, or in Singapore, we call it the circuit breaker, because for some reason our government wants to be fancy and doesn't want to be, call it lockdown like every other country in the world. So during the circuit breaker period, I became so grouchy. You have no idea. Anything and everything in the world would set me off. Okay, and I was not a happy kid. I was not happy at all. But I think Simon's the most normal of the three of us. He seems perfectly fine.
Most zen.
But talking about COVID-19, you cannot talk about the pandemic in Singapore today without talking about this huge saga surrounding it, which is called Trace Together. Okay?
Trace Together.
Now, I'm going to read to you what the Trace Together definition is so I don't screw it up. Okay, now basically, Trace Together is a national deployment of a Bluetooth-based contact tracing system in the world. And it was developed by Singapore's Government Technology Agency and the Ministry of Health to help the country better respond to epidemics. So basically, in layman's term, it's an app, or in this case, a token, looks a bit like this, which you can use or you have to use in public spaces in Singapore in order to gain entry into these spaces. And if you don't have the app, you can't get in, or you don't have the token, you can't get in. Now, there's this national saga that kind of emerged from Trace Together, mainly because people are now very concerned about their own personal data and privacy issues, because the government recently release a statement saying that in the event of crimes or or what they say serious crimes, they are allowed to tap onto your contact tracing information and then extrapolate data from there to help them solve the crimes. Okay, so my question to the two of you is, first and foremost, is what do you guys think about it, number one? And number two, are there any similar things happening in your countries? Gabs, I know there's something happening in Lithuania.
I mean, so we have like a similar app, which, but it's not mandatory. It's just like if you're going anywhere. I think it was more prominent when we were not in lockdown. So like if you're going to sit in a cafe and eat in, then you should like, scan the QR code, and so you can they can tell you if somebody in there got infected or something. So I think it's similar with the UK with the track and trace app. So it's just, it's not very good, and it's not very like, and it's not mandatory. But I'm quite like interested in the Singaporean thing, I have to tell you, because I can't see like the logical link between like, oh, we're developing this app to like help Singapore battle coronavirus, and we're going to use this data for crime, like for battling crime or whatever.
Like how did it come up?
Yeah, like I can't really see the connection, like, because, if the primary goal is to like help battle coronavirus, then I think, then that means that like people should be trusting of that app and like would want to use it. And I think that knowledge that it might be used against them in some sort of context is kind of it defeats the purpose.
The token on that you just showed on the lanyard, how does that work? So if you want to go into somewhere, do they have a machine that you tap onto?
Beep it, and it only works. It has no Wi-Fi on it. There's a QR code on it. Not sure if you can see it, but there's a QR code right there. And then you basically beep it, and then that's how you know that, oh yeah, you're in this space at this point in time.
And if you don't do it,
it strictly runs on Bluetooth. There's no Wi-Fi in this device. Yeah.
And if you don't scan it, like what's the consequences?
You can't. You'll be refused entry, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so over here we started off by just having pen and paper in venues. You would just write down your name, your phone number.
Yeah.
And that's how they would contact you if someone in the pub or restaurant got coronavirus. But then we updated to an app, the NHS COVID-19 app. People have it on their phones, and then if you stand next to someone or if you're in contact with someone that has reported their symptoms for coronavirus, then it will give you a notification to say that you have it and you need to isolate. So it just runs in the background. There was some people were wary at first about like, would it drain your battery? Would it access your data? But it's been proved as quite a private safe and data safe option. It's just the fact that it doesn't particularly work very well. So a couple of maybe months ago, I got a notification to say that I had been in contact with someone with coronavirus and I needed to isolate for 14 days. And then 2 minutes later, I got a notification saying, sorry, that was a false alarm. You don't need to worry at all.
What?
But it's not mandatory. You don't have to have it.
Yeah.
It's just recommended to check into venues, but then not all venues have it.
But what I would like to understand also is why, if this is an app that's developed to combat the pandemic, why is it that these apps or some sort of a device not mandatory to enter certain venues or to trace individuals?
I think there's one way of looking at it is that people like Boris Johnson and the Conservative Party like they're liberals in the way that they want citizen freedom, and the reason that they've avoided calling lockdowns is because they don't actually want people to go into lockdown. We saw with the first one where you're only supposed to go out for exercise less than an hour, it was recommended, and kept people inside, and schools were closed and people were affected, jobs were lost. They don't actually want that to happen. So I think they're trying to avoid those sorts of measures, whether or not that's good or bad. It's up to you to decide. But ultimately, it's just sort of this free way of trying to deal with it and adapt.
Also, I think the UK is like a lot bigger country than Singapore or Lithuania. And so while it's like quite easy, for example, for Lithuanian government, you all have to do this and we will enforce this, then it would be in the UK, I think. Because, again, it's bigger. It's got all these different, regional, I don't know, governments, tensions in some ways. Also, yeah, I mean, the British, like, I don't want to get into history, but, colonizers always in charge, it's always have to, they always have a choice on everything. So, like, when you're kind of, raised with that mindset of that you can do, that it's your choice, you have, you have a choice to do whatever, then I think it's really difficult for the government to actually enforce any sort of mandatory, disruption to their daily lives.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about choice, because I was literally thinking that the only reason why as Singaporeans, we are still able to like have this conversation about, whether the Trace Together app should be used for contact tracing purposes only, and also what does that mean, or whether it can be used for crimes and yada, yada, yada. It's also because we have the luxury of having a country that has relatively low cases, so that we can actually think about these things. If we were having, 50,000 cases a day or whatnot, and people were dying left, right, and center, I don't think people are going to go, we should, let's talk about personal privacy and data
but
privacy.
I don't even know if that's true, because I feel like, I don't know, like people are just irresponsible, because what happened in Lithuania, like during the holidays on Christmas and stuff, it was really bad before Christmas. We had like 4,000 new cases a day, which for Lithuania is insane. Like it was bleak. We were the first country in Europe. It was a lot. And so this new government came in and they imposed the strict lockdown, and they said specifically, you can't go out of your city for the holidays. You need to stay where you are, and you can only travel if you've got like work or business, but like your employer then has to give you like a special permit.
Yeah.
And it was insane because they started, so the police started patrolling the exits from the cities, I think on the like 23rd or something, or even earlier. Wow. It might have been earlier. And it was insane. Every day, on the news, it would be just like this huge queue of cars wanting to get out, and like, the police turning them back, into the city in like thousands. And it was like, to me, it was insane, because a lot of people were saying, oh, this is fascist, and like, you shouldn't be keeping us, and like, I can decide how I want to spend my holidays, and blah, blah, blah. But also like, there's like 4,000 cases a day. Like, the situation is horrible. There's these rules that we have in place that you like, that you just like have no intention of following, but they're there. You can't do this, so the police can like send you back. So it's just like, I don't know, like me and my family were just like watching the news every night, and we're like, why are they going? Like they know they can't go. Why?
From how I look at it, right? Because I believe that it goes both ways. You need some kind of leadership and guidance from the top down, correct? But I think that in the sense of any kind of a natural disaster, or even in this case, like a pandemic, we also need to support one another as people from the ground up. Right? We need to trust one another. We need to behave. We need to follow instructions. We need to, if they say wear a mask, wear their mask. If we say keep a meter apart, keep a meter apart. And I just feel that, there is this instruction coming down from the government to the people, and people are like, oh, but why should we listen to you when, we don't trust you, this app that has all these issues. But at the same time, it's like, then what are you doing as a person if you're not going to use this app or this token for whatever reason that you want to give for yourself, then to help curb the pandemic situation? Just cause it's 30 cases now does not mean that it's not going to spike tomorrow or the week after or next month. We don't know how these things go. That is why it's a pandemic and a natural disaster. And I think that Singaporeans, being the complaint kings and queens that we are, sometimes get lost in that kind of a mindset. And we are quite angry. I feel that we are quite like, suppressed and angry people, and every little thing that the government gives, we just feel like we want to lash out on them and all that kind of stuff. But for me, personally, I don't speak on this on behalf of my family or my friends or whatever. I feel that just looking at the current situation within the country and the current situation in the world, I think that we're doing quite okay. But like what Gabs said, maybe because we're in a smaller country, everybody's kind of condensed into one space, it's easier to manage. Sure, we have that, but that does not equate to the fact that we actually managed to manage it well. There are many small countries.
Yeah, but I'm thinking on that topic of anger, I think it makes sense to be angry. Like, it makes sense that like lockdowns and all of these rules for extended periods of time, they, make you grouchy, make you angry, but like, but then again, like you're not a child. Like it is what it is. And I think no matter like how pissed off you get with these restrictions, like, suck it up and like, do it, because like that's the only way.
You were saying beforehand that in Singapore, politicians were getting the vaccine live on television. We don't have that here in the UK. The first woman that received it, Margaret Keenan, she was televised, and there was a guy called William Shakespeare who also got it. But our politicians don't receive it live on camera or TV because they're not high on the priority
William
list at the
Shakespeare,
moment.
like the dead guy.
Well,
I don't think it's the dead guy.
It's not the person, but maybe he was the one that wrote all of the Shakespeare plays.
Well, okay.
But so we have 10 different priority groups for receiving the vaccine. So our politicians wouldn't be first in any of the case. So, but I think that if we did see our politicians getting it, it wouldn't go down as well, maybe in like it does in Singapore.
Yeah.
So do you think these public acts by politicians will get people to change their attitudes towards dealing with the virus? Will people be more happier this year than they were last year?
I think that if anything, it will shut some people up. Because I feel that because people have been talking about it, they say that they're going to be these vaccines coming in and whatnot and whatever. And the politicians all say they've all vouched for it and it's great. But how do we know that it can be trusted, right? So I think how the government is approaching it is they're trying to say, okay, look, if you don't trust it, it's fine. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it first and show you that it's okay. For me personally, I feel that I feel more kind of at ease in a way. And I strongly urge everybody to go and get vaccinated when you can, because I think it's important.
On that, hopeful note, let's, leave the virus talk for 2020 and see any plans for 2021. Any exciting news? Anything that you want to share?
New year, new
I
me.
mean,
New year,
New year,
New
new me. I'm starting a new job in a week. So that's quite
Woo!
exciting. Very, very exciting. That means I'm going to get some stable cash, leaving the freelancer life behind for a while. The
Always
second
good. You
thing
can
is,
buy me gifts then.
I will buy you more gifts. That's right. I buy all of you more gifts with my it's a decent enough paycheck. But anyway, the second thing is my cousin got married over the holidays, which was exciting.
Oh,
For
congratulations.
everybody else, but for me, because I'm the last person left in the family who has yet to get hitched. So now everybody is clamming down on my personal life and asking me questions like, so when is your wedding? Or what do you think about that girl? She seems quite decent, right? Oh wait, she's an air stewardess. That means she's jobless for now. So maybe not. Let's go for somebody else. My
Do
mother and my
you have
aunts.
anyone you've got your eye on?
Well, they've got all their eyes on everybody else. For me, I don't have to do anything. They got it all grounds covered.
Maybe we should do an episode where find Ben a wife.
Oh, but speaking of cheery notes, I think that Simon will
Okay.
pull this up on in the edit. But we also have an image from our giveaway that we gave to
Oh
Nick.
yes, first subscriber.
Woo, woo, woo.
Woo!
Okay, so there are perks. There are perks to subscribing and following and reviewing on the different platforms. So please, and you might win a prize, and you can be as happy as Nick. Look at him, all smiley with his notebook from our dear friend, the Happy Zest. Shout out to them as well.
Well, it was nice talking to you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, rate, review on Apple Podcasts, all the stuff. You know what to do. We don't really have any sort of outro thing. So yeah, keep talking. Bye. Whew.
This was a terrible way to wrap up. That was the worst wrap up of all time. It's like when you try to get guests out of your house and they stay too long. You go, guys, okay, we've ran out of wine.
Yeah, here's your coat, shoes.